Welcome to episode 20 of the Unadulterated Amateurs Podcast. We have a special guest today, Joshua C. Chad. I'm Chuck Beeson, and this is Joel Norton.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Josh, how's it going, bud?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. A little tired, but doing good.
You guys just recently moved, didn't you? From you've been moving all over the place.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So we moved to Lower Michigan from Montana 2 years ago, and then we moved up from Lower Michigan to the UP in December, and now we're in the process of buying a house in northern Wisconsin, getting ready to move again in a month.
Oh my goodness!
You're moving again?
Yeah. Hopefully for the final time for at least a few years.
You said Wisconsin?
Yes, northern Wisconsin.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it, dude. It's so beautiful up there.
It's pretty nice. It's only like 5 miles, or I guess it'd be like 10 miles south of where we're at now in the UP, because we're right on the border of Iron Mountain, just like an hour and a half above Green Bay.
Oh, okay. Dude, I used to go to Minnesota when I was a kid, like probably once every other year, and it was just beautiful country going up through Wisconsin, and love it. Just love it.
It's nice.
I love my drives to Iowa.
Oh, so anything new with you, Josh?
Oh, a lot. So there's the house, of course. That's new, still coming along, still in the process of getting approved for the loan, but we have been pre-approved. Offer was accepted, all that kind of fun stuff.
Oh,
running a Kickstarter, which I'm sure we'll talk more about that later or now or whenever. And just started a part-time job because, trying to be a full-time author is,
brutal.
It's inconsistent income. And through some circumstances, like 2 years ago, we went more or less full-time with the publishing and writing coaching and my own writing. And it worked pretty well for the last couple of years, but just getting ready to buy a house and having a year and a half old and the prices of everything, it's like, okay, you need to go get a part-time job and kind of supplement everything else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's that makes sense. I think it'd be really hard to, because you just got to pump out books like crazy to almost be full-time. And I know I can't stay consistent enough to do something like that. Not quite yet, at least. But dude, in the Kickstarter thing, that's a lot of work.
Yes. It was I thought I knew how much work it was getting into it, and I know I talked to you and I talked to RJ and I talked to JT Williams a little bit, and they were all like, everybody's like, hey, it's gonna be more work, and I'm like, okay, well I know, and then I get in the midst of it and I'm like, okay, this is more work. This isn't even just more work, this is more work. And I don't know, I put like 3 solid months of pretty much focusing on it. And I realized now I went a little over the top in all of my rewards and stuff because I don't know how to do anything like just half-assed. Like I have to go full in.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
And so
just go all the way.
Yeah.
And then it makes things super complicated and you're like, hey, this is my first time.
It's like I should have went simple like everybody said, but I'm like, no, this is a big anniversary edition, massive thing. I'm going to go all in. And now I'm like, it's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's been a lot of work.
Yeah. That's what, like, a lot of people don't realize that you had those months leading up to the Kickstarter and you're putting in a lot of time to figure stuff out. And then you think you have everything figured out and then it starts. And then you're like, okay, this did not go at all the way I planned.
And then you're posting so much.
Yes.
Trying to get it out there. It's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
And then like, for us, I think we did. I seen you did swag bags as well, but we did those, and it kind of threw off everything that we had planned. So we kind of learning curve.
Yes,
I think after you do it a few times, it gets easier because you kind of know what you're doing. You're like, all right, I know the process. Try to fix this. A lot of times it's not good. It doesn't get fixed. It's just a problem. But yeah, it is something cool because I like that you really build a community too out of it. You know what I mean? Like other people that are interested in the project or back you, and then you kind of, I like it a lot. We should probably look into doing another one sometime soon, but
you should. I know I've enjoyed all of them so far. I've got, they're packed away. I was going to say, I got some awesome signed books. Usually I have them back there, but They're in a box. I think they're actually still in a box in Montana with half of our crap that we've not had for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yep.
Just leave half your stuff back home.
Yep. Because we thought like when we were going to the southern Michigan, we were just going down there for a couple years to help a church get going, do a little church plant thing. And then we were going to go back. Then we got wrangled in up here, and now we're going to stay here. So we got to take a trip back to Montana this summer after we have the house, and get a trailer full of crap to bring to our other house full of crap.
Yeah. Dude, I love Montana as well. I went out there as a kid. I was a teenager, and we went out there for like 3 weeks oh my gosh. It was on the I actually asked my mom today because I was like, where was this? Casbell, I think, or Cassisbell or something like that.
Kalispell.
Kalispell, thank you.
Yep.
And dude, it was so beautiful. They my parents had grabbed a cabin kind of in the middle of nowhere, and we stayed out there, and it was awesome. Chuck, you would have been in heaven. There was like just grouse everywhere, just kind of wandering through the yard, and like deer every night. Mountain lion tracks in the backyard by the creek.
Sounds awesome.
Dude, it was beautiful.
I need to make a trip out there.
I do every time that I'm like, oh, the flights are so expensive. Maybe I'll drive. Oh my gosh, 30 plus hours or something from where we're at in Ohio, and
Yeah,
it gets outrageous. Yeah. But it's so beautiful,
especially with gas prices now. Just imagine how much that would cost.
Oh my oh yeah. I actually, and we went up to Glacier Park when we were out there.
Oh yes,
My mom was just telling me that apparently there's these paths. Apparently there was a bear that was chasing a mountain lion, or not mountain lion, excuse me, a mountain goat. And someone's like, mountain goat, and the mountain goat came running by, and it was getting chased by a grizzly bear. I was like, that's an intense encounter right there. That's nuts.
Oh,
but yeah, the wildlife up there, I loved it so much.
I don't know if I'd want to see a grizzly bear.
Oh, they're not that bad.
Oh well, now I want to.
I've seen a lot killed.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've
so
seen
when
black bears, but not grizzly. But go ahead. Sorry.
Grizzlies are sweet. Brown bears, when you're talking brownies, those are the big boys. Those are the 10 footers. I mean, 1,500 pounds, like big boys. You come up on one of those in person. One of the first grizzly bear hunters I guided, we came up on this bear, and I thought it was a decent size, which 9.5, and we got up on it. It ended up being a record book bear. It was massive. The closer we got, the bigger it got, and it was huge. Like, they're massive creatures.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was always,
my goodness.
I feel like I'd be the adrenaline just that you would running in. Yeah, man. Like, yeah. And
something that could absolutely destroy everything I know and love.
Yes.
And I guess I should kind of introduce you here a little bit I just kind of jumped right in, but I met you through Facebook. Actually, you reached out to me when we were doing before we did, it actually might've been during the Hunters and the Hunted.
Okay.
It was like right at the tail end of that.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, hey, just so you know, I'm interested if you're ever, and you gave me a bunch of, some of your work and stuff. And I looked over, and then we were able to work together on Women of the Crystal Coast. So was able to bring him on, Josh here on board for that. And you had one hell of a story, which was just love that story, dude.
Thanks.
It was so cool. With that's the one with the woman and her like kind of like she could talk to lions. Okay. Like mentally.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, so she had like a lion companion essentially.
Yeah. All right.
If you're for the D&D people out there.
Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, that dude, it was sweet. I really enjoyed that one. And then you and a lot of people don't know this, but you and RJ actually have a kind of in your stories, your characters kind of go through each other's story, right?
Yes.
Just kind of randomly.
Yep. Because we were talking, because we were both in that, and I know I was like, hey, RJ, like Ryan, buddy, do you have a spot where we could like do something here? He's like, yeah, I could probably do something. I'm like, I could too. Let's get a hold of Joel and make sure it's okay and whatnot. And you're like, yeah, go for it. And so we did that, and that was just, I don't know. I always love, like, I don't know if you guys, well, I guess you got the MCU now, but like, I don't know if you're familiar with Ted Decker. He's like a Christian thriller fantasy author. And so he's
nice.
got this big, like, or like Sanderson, Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere.
Yes.
Like whenever you can weave things in, I just love that. And so when Ryan and I were talking, we're like, hey, let's do that. And we did that. And it's just a little small thing that if you're not paying attention, you don't know, but it's enough to where like, if you do notice it, it's like, oh, that's sick. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. I don't think there's a nerd alive that doesn't love some oh my gosh. Now I just drew a blank.
Like tie-ins or cameos or
tie-ins.
Yeah.
tie-ins.
Chuck, we always talk about this too. I don't even think cameos are where I'm looking for. I will be stuck on this all night. It's gonna bother me.
Isn't that the worst?
It is, dude. Oh my gosh.
Jeez, Joel.
Easter egg.
Yes, Easter eggs.
Yes, Easter
I
eggs.
love Easter eggs.
We always talk about Easter eggs. I'm like, I don't think there's a nerd alive that doesn't love Easter eggs, man.
Oh, they're the best.
For real.
Especially the ones that don't remember what they're saying.
Josh, in your opinion, what is the hardest book or story, writing wise, in general? What's the hardest thing you've ever had to write?
Ooh, now
I've been wanting to ask you that one for a while.
So
Yeah.
hard as in like just the writing of it was hard, or like where I was at emotionally kind of thing. Cause I got two answers there that I guess I could do both.
Yeah, let's explore both. Just out of curiosity.
The hardest besides now.
Yeah.
I mean, now aside and working on, oh my gosh, 2 years on the third complete rewrite of my fantasy first book that I started in like 2010 plus, like so 10, 12, 14 years ago. Besides that, and just that's a lot more of just life and a baby and moving. Like we have moved, like not only were we in Southern Michigan, we were in 2 different places there. So now we're here moving like 4 times in 2 years and
Brutal.
getting used to being a dad and then trying to make all this full time and trying to publish and realize that that's not quite what we wanted and switching gears to like the coaching and now this everything. Anyway, so besides that, probably Bad Company, my fourth book, was probably my hardest to write from where I was at. I just had a hard time writing it. I don't know what it was. It was just a summer of, I guess, just growth emotionally. I guess that sounds kind of, weird or whatever.
No,
but just life, I guess. And so that was probably the hardest, at least for that series, because book 2, I wrote book 2 in 2 weeks. I wrote book 3 in 3 weeks. I wrote book 5 in 4 weeks. And so when book 4 took 3 months, I was like, man, this is taking forever. And now I'm sitting on a book that a rewrite has been 2 years. And so I'm like, I didn't know. I don't know. It was just a lot easier back then. So that was tough. But the hardest story writing wise was actually, the story I had Through the Eyes of Lion in the Women of the Crystal Coast anthology, because writing strictly from a female perspective and really getting in her head. Like I have some of that in my books, but I can always, they're definitely secondary, but getting fully there and trying to make her feel authentic and feminine while also being this badass warrior chick, trying to find that balance. And then also a fun challenge that I really loved. It was definitely more work, but going into somebody else's sandbox and playing in their world is fun, but it's a challenge. Because I know like there was coming on times when I'm like, okay, she like bought something with them coins. And then I'm like, wait a second.
Do they have coins?
I like coins. I'll have to ask Joel later. Or she went and got a haircut. Wait, do they have scissors in this time period? And then I'm like, oh yeah, there was a mountain troll. And I'm like, wait a second. And so like highlighting all these things. And normally it's like, okay, it's my world. I'm writing in it. I know what to do. And if I don't know what to do, I'm going to make it up and then change it later or whatever. And so that was a fun challenge that instead of like, I thought at times it'd be more more restricting. There's the right word.
Yeah.
There we go.
Than I thought, but it was almost more inspiring because there was times when I'm like, okay, what's going to happen here? Who's this organization thing? And I'd go back to that setting Bible you guys have and kind of do a little bit of research and be able to find something. Okay. Oh, this fits in here well. Whereas if it was just me, I might be like, scrambling or whatnot. But so that was the funnest, hardest challenge was probably that one. It was only like 14,000 words, so it wasn't even that long, but it was. And honestly, I think personally, it was one of my best works yet. My editor thinks that my 2 short stories, that one and then another zombie one I did, are my 2 best works. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. After I read your story, I immediately was like pumped when you said you were working on a fantasy series. I was like, "Woo, let's go!" I enjoyed your zombie novels, but I'm not a giant. Is it post-apocalyptic?
Yeah,
like not that genre. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I enjoyed your. I think I'd read Outbreak, if I remember right, the first one, right? And then when I read your short story, I was like, oh, dude, I was like, I can't wait for your fantasy series. It's gonna be sweet.
Thanks.
Not trying to overhype your work, but I'm overhyping it.
I like it. I don't mind.
But I actually can agree with you on the women of the Crystal Coast, because I struggled on that short story that I wrote in there, and I can't even remember the name off the top of my head of what it was called. But that I struggled so hard with that, just because I wanted to make sure like the main character felt realistic, and it was kind of interesting how we set up that whole thing in general, just because we tried to make sure it was like 50-50 men and women writing, like author wise. It didn't quite work out that way, just because I feel like somebody, can't remember what time I have, but I think 2 people dropped out of our thing. But anyways, but all the guys that I was talking to, the authors, they were like, man, I think we were all like, we really wanted to make sure it it wasn't a shallow character or like a cardboard cutout, I think is what I'm going for.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like where you're reading, you're like, oh, I can't connect with this at all.
Yes, this is just
a dude must have wrote this.
Yeah, exactly. It's a stereotypical, like this is a female from a male perspective, or vice versa.
Right. Exactly.
And so you can tell when they either don't have a good grasp or haven't done their research, or didn't have the opposite sex beta read it or edit it.
Yeah.
That was my biggest help, was my wife sitting down and being like, what is she thinking here? I'm like, she's thinking this. And she's like, Josh, it's not like not to pigeonhole people, but there are definitely different ways that we as genders think somewhat. And so she's like, that's not, most women would not think like that. I'm like, fair enough. I'll adjust.
Yeah. I like that setup. Yeah. That gives you a nice balance.
Yeah.
Both perspectives. Yeah. I'm
how long have you been working on your book, bud?
Don't even get me started. That's what I was just thinking about. That's why I was like, oh God. He said 2010. I've been working on my first Dragon Band novel probably since like 2006 till 2007.
Oh wow. It makes me feel, I mean we're it's not at this point when it's over 10 years, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's another couple, but it makes me feel a little good. So
yeah, I think, I don't know if you have struggled with the same issue as what I have, but for me, it's almost like I could tell you exactly down to the letter of what's going to happen in the book. And like, I've just, I haven't even really plotted it out. That's the weird thing, because while you're doing factory work, so you kind of just zone out when you're in the factory work, and then you kind of just play stuff through your head. But I mean, as a kid, I was doing that already. Just kind of, you're bored, you're running around outside. I was homeschooled, so I was out there bored as all get out after, you get out of school at home. And so you're out there swinging around wooden swords and stuff, right? And next thing you know, you're like, it's like plays like in a movie in your head.
That's not homeschool, bud.
No, I'm saying after the homeschool part.
I was going to say swinging wooden swords. That's not homeschool.
No, boy.
Hey, that was my homeschool.
Hey.
That was,
I was saying, I think most homeschool people that I've met.
I did that.
You did that too?
And I wasn't homeschooled, so that's fair. That's not a homeschool thing.
Maybe it's a guy thing.
I think it's an imagination. If your imagination was fostered when you were young, because I've talked to a lot of people that like, me and a buddy, we just recently, like a couple of years ago, went out and did the whole, playing in the woods we don't use sticks anymore because it's too training. So we actually just fling around swords and whatnot. Yeah. Like our own imaginary stuff, but like, yeah, because I think we talked, because that's kind of what inspired the world and your story and stuff, wasn't it? Was those kind of like,
and that was the other fun thing. It was like, well, so I have it all, like I said, done, and I've gotten let's see, in the late 2000s, I basically wrote up until like the 6th chapter, and then 2 or 3 years would go by, right? And then I go back and look at this, and I was like, wow, this is a kid wrote this, right? As a teenager. So then I rewrote that. and then did the same thing. And then, every time I looked at this, I was like, this is horrible. This is not what I envisioned at all. And then, so I'd go back and write it. And then I think it was 2018. I found no, we're done with the rewrites. We're going to start here and we're going to finish. So I got all the way through, and now it's just sitting there staring at me like, I need edited.
Yeah. I remember when you first started talking to me about it, you telling the story was wonderful. I kind of want to read this.
Oh yeah, that was to get you involved in the company, right? Because you were like, "Hey, I'm interested. Just explain to me what your idea is." And I was like, "Well," and then I gave you every detail I had, and you were like, "Well, I'm sold."
I'm in.
And then I haven't put out a book yet. 7 years later.
I just got to see here and start wondering, was this a good investment? What's going on right now?
Not only do you got to deal with me constantly, I haven't put out a book. You're welcome.
I feel like when you invest in anybody's creative work, it's more of a risk than just a small business. I mean, even though it is part of it is a piece of it as a small business aspect,
right.
But still,
oh yeah, for sure.
I have no regrets.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. Yeah, I mean, even if today I would never to put out a novel for some reason, I'd be totally happy with the anthologies that we put out, and that those were fun. Yeah, we were worried as all get out because we didn't like short stories either when we first started. We weren't really short story. I was like, well, this is a good way to test the waters, though. We know absolutely nothing about the industry whatsoever.
Nothing.
And that's kind of what with our first one, we just kind of jumped in. We're like, hey, let's see what happens. And then
And how many we got out there now?
3.
But then what about all those other short stories, novellas?
3 other shorts as well that we kind of got experimental with just to see. It didn't exactly work that we wanted, but they were solid stories.
Now we just got to get a novel out there.
Yeah.
Joel.
Yeah. Yeah. I got not only mine, I have 2 other ones sitting there. Like, hey, you need to read these too. Time.
Yes.
I need more. Yeah. It was actually funny because the guy here with no kids is the one that pointed this out to me because I remember my oldest was born and I was rocking her on the porch. I was actually writing Woven Destiny, which is hilarious. And I for some reason you swung by and he was like, well, enjoy it now because he's like, you realize you're not going to be able to write like this probably when they get older. And I was like, they're good kids. They'll be all right. You know,
been there.
And then they over here trying to write and they're like, Dad, look. Yeah.
I know something.
I wouldn't give I love it. You know what I mean? I love it. But it just cracks me up. Like it's like impossible to get. Yeah. So that's, it's I also like you were talking about the setting Bible thing. I thought that was hilarious because the first anthology we did, we struggled so hard because it was all like up here. And I'm just like, hey, here, this is the info you need. And there, when people ask me, and then with the setting Bible, I was like, all right, we're set now. I won't have to worry about that too much. And there was so much missing from that setting Bible. Apparently, like it was hilarious because all the questions asked were not in that setting Bible. I don't think one time I was like, well, if you look in the setting Bible here, no, it was always, well, oh my gosh, I don't even have this written down. Let me see. Let's go back in the memory archive.
That's fun.
So I haven't really been paying attention. This might be already out there, but are you finished with your zombie, the whole series of with those characters, the brothers?
Yes. Yep. So I finished. So that finished 3 years ago. Was kind of when I released book 5, that was kind of tying the bow. Well, okay, not quite. When I finished book 5, I then did a little sequel short story that I threw in the original box set I did digitally. And that was kind of tying the bow on it. And then when I did this new anniversary edition, which I'll grab out later when I'm talking about the Kickstarter, I did another little short story that I threw in there. So now it's the series as a whole is finished. Yep. That's kind of the 5 books. Yeah. That's it. There are, I mean, people keep asking like, is there going to be more? Or is there going to, and I try and keep things close to the chest because I've been working on this fantasy for 3 years. And so all my plans because if I can get in a decent routine, which that's the thing, I can easily write a trilogy a year, like easily with leeway, with things being like whatever. but I can't seem to get in the routine right now. So I can't write a trilogy in a year. But if I could get that, then I have ideas for other stories. We'll just leave it at other stories set in this world. By and large, this series, these characters are done. But I do have plans to play more in the world, and I may or may not have a note in the back of my anniversary edition that may or may not say a little more about that, which I have not really told anybody about, and I need to start promoting that. Like, hey, support the Kickstarter, get the anniversary edition.
Yes,
and
that's
get this
exactly
little
what you
sneak.
should be
So
doing.
I haven't even mentioned it actually because I have it in there, and I don't know what exactly it's going to be about because I have different. I do have, yeah. So anyway. Yes, there's stuff in the
Don't
works.
say too much. Don't say too much.
There's stuff in the works, but those characters, yes, that series is done.
Kickstarter hype for sure because that's pretty awesome. Nice little. Now I'm curious.
I want to know now.
You want to whip out your the special edition because I am curious what this looks like. I've seen the cover. Oh man.
So it is what I wanted to do when I first started writing, and it's going to be kind of glary. Ooh, and it's
beautiful.
It is an epic cover to say the least.
It just came out amazing, and the full the back design and stuff that I might still play with this a little bit, but I like taking. I don't like the cover sleeve, but I like my artist like so the inside. This is going to change completely. I'm going to put something different there. The back side is awesome. I'm going to add.
Oh, that's awesome.
There, but this is
professional.
I mean, and so this is all 5 books. The font I had to go with like a side. I probably won't be able to see anything, but
a little bit, yeah.
But it is awesome, and the font I had to go a touch smaller, but it's still very. I looked at like some old like the first Shannara book series, and it's even smaller than this. So I'm like, okay, the font's not going to be too small, but yeah, this is going to be awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Guys, for anybody listening to the podcast, you guys can check out the description. We'll throw a link to the Kickstarter for the Brothers Creed special anniversary edition there that he's got. And dude, I really love that cover.
That is a beautiful book.
Who's the artist that did the cover?
So it is Jake at J Caleb Design. He is literally amazing. He's amazing to work with. I have three other covers done by him that I'm sitting on because they're to my fantasy series, and I have not like my super readers group. I don't know if I did post the cover yet. So I've got a really close knit closed group on Facebook.
I know I'm there.
I think you're both in there. Yeah. And so have I shared the cover for Chasing Death, my short story prequel to my fantasy?
If you did, then I missed that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I can't remember. I don't remember doing it because I know I'm going to give it to my super readers like months before anybody else gives it. But so J. Caleb did those as well, and that one is like top notch. I mean, I don't know if I can screenshot on here, but it is like, whew, it is. I mean, I love this one, and I love the double exposure look. How you have like in the body of the zombie, there's
dude, that's what I thought was
and they're coming out. So like it's not quite like that, but for fantasy,
shot, I'm assuming on the top is just icing on the cake.
He does phenomenal work. He's booked out like over a year. But he's like price wise, he's not bad. And my other 2 covers, like they are literally just, I can't wait to finally share them because I just need to, and now those stories are all written. 2 prequels and a prequel short story. Those are complete. Those have been the one's been edited through 4 times, and it's not even a novella anymore. It's like 65,000 words. It's turned into a full novel. But I just got to finish the trilogy, which I mean, this Kickstarter is getting me really pumped to write again, even though I don't have much time during it. I'm still finding myself like, okay, this is fun. This is like,
gives you like a weird inspiration kind of.
Yes.
I always thought that was kind of weird with the Kickstarter because like like I said, you're working on that and then you get inspired to do other stuff. Now,
because when it's going good, it's going great.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. Now, I'm curious, when we shut down with the coronavirus thing, did that bother your whole flow of work?
So the first 2 weeks was awesome. I got more writing done in that 2 weeks than I did in the last 2 years. Like I was able to finish that one short story, which was like 10,000 words, write another 2,000 words, or I'm sorry, 20,000 words in my main book one. Like, so the first 2 weeks I went ham. And then, so at that time we were staying in a lady's basement. And it was a nice basement, big living room and everything, but we were still in somebody's basement. You could hear them walking around. We were going to watch Lord of the Rings at that time, but we had to keep the TV volume so low. Cause like when the music gets loud, Lord of the Rings, the music gets loud.
Oh yeah.
So we had to keep it so low that we couldn't even watch it. And so it was just some stuff. And so we were in somebody's basement, and it after 2 weeks of, we're extending it. We're extending it. We're extending it. And after the second extension, I mean, me and my wife were like, okay, we had friends that were like, screw this. Let's go hang out. This is dumb. Like, so at that point, like after the first, I think it was, honestly, I think we did pretty good for about 2-3 weeks. And then we're like, okay, we're good. We weren't like, partying at a rave or anything, but we're going to visiting friends and whatnot. And so then after that first 2 weeks, it just, I don't know. I think, let's see, that was in March. So shortly after that, we realized we were pregnant, and it wasn't completely planned. It was like, we are gearing up for like, okay, we want to start having kids. When do we want to start having kids? Well, okay, let's try and think about this. And because at that time I was still going to Alaska for the fall. So we had to kind of plan it because I would be gone for a month or two. And then all of a sudden one morning, it's like, hey, we're pregnant. And I'm like, oh no, we don't have health insurance. We don't have, money saved up. And that's why I'm having to get a part-time job now is because, we had to pay for all that out of pocket. I went to the ER last year. And so all that kind of stuff, just like, that right there was like between those two, and we got some pretty good stuff. But that's like 10 to 15 grand. And so it's just like, so between all that stuff, COVID was not very productive. I did not pull a Brandon Sanderson, sadly. I wish I could have. I had the time to.
Well,
but I did.
Most of the people I talked to had the same issue that I had, which sounds similar to what you dealt with. So for me, I probably pumped out 40,000 words initially. I had 3 months off of work that we were shut down. I don't think I left. I think I left the house maybe once or twice during that whole period, and that was to go to my parents.
Yeah.
I know you were kind of out and about, right?
I was still working.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I love that.
Nothing really changed for me.
Yeah. I was enjoying it because I am very antisocial as it is. So, or not antisocials. I don't know if that's exactly the word for it, but
introverted.
But
introverted.
heavily, dude. So I'm just super comfortable just being at home.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hell yeah. So I think maybe went out 2 times during this 3-month period. And I think one of those was a Chipotle run because I was craving some Chipotle.
Oh, geez.
The other one was to go to the parents. It's got my priorities straight.
Yeah, I know that for me, I just, life went on and then I bought a house.
Yeah, you were working through that. I forgot about that, which didn't make any sense exactly for what you were doing
at
at all.
But hey, here we are.
But I pumped out all that writing initially in that 3 months. But when I went back to work, because I was doing 8s to anywhere between 8 to 12 hours for, how long have I been at the factory there? Since 2012.
Oh my goodness, dude.
2012.
Yeah.
So just nonstop.
10 years, baby.
And then I had myself somewhat trained. Yeah. In June. I don't know how happy I am about that, but I had myself trained. I got off work, I'd shower, write. And I had a good, we were legit with it too. And then every Thursday he would show up, and my brother was part of the business as well.
Yep.
And we'd all kind of work on stuff. And, but what ended up happening was I went back to work, and suddenly that 3 months, it threw me out of my grind mode, I guess. I don't know. Cause I even had kids at that time, and I was still able to play with them, put them down to bed, boom. Right. And I was doing solid with that. And something threw me off, dude. I've been thrown off since. I struggle for me to get back into that routine. I don't know.
As of late, when you're not busy or you're not working, you're swimming somehow.
My brother got a pond. When you're in the factory. So, with the factory, I'm working next to ovens, which is even worse. Oh, yes. And I get heat sickness, which is even better. So I don't know why I'm there. I could have easily moved away from this area. It's because Aaron.
I don't
Aaron's
miss the ovens.
Aaron, if you're listening, you're the reason I'm there still in that corner. Not you.
You're so, of course not me.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
You left me. How dare you?
Aaron, you couldn't keep me there.
But yeah, it's like super hot. So then I'd go swimming after work.
That makes
Chuck,
sense.
that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
You need to get a waterproof tablet or something.
There we go. Just be over there at my brother's house all the time. Just harass him. I like that.
Hey, I can
That's
get you one of those,
Typing.
a floaty thing that you can set the laptop on. It's fine.
This sounds like a bad idea. I never trust water when they say it's waterproof. I think
it's
waterproof.
usually resistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I immediately was like, I'm not testing that.
The idea isn't to drop it in.
Well, you know, there's a party that's like kind of curious if it wasn't so expensive.
Yes.
I've
always wanted to be like,
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, that's that.
I dropped a phone in a puddle and left it there for 6 hours once, and it worked.
Oh wow!
It worked. Yeah.
What type of phone?
It was a Samsung. I think that was the Galaxy S9 that I did it with.
I feel like you should never leave Samsung. They've been good to you.
Oh, they've been great.
Samsung is the only way to go.
We went to Rock on the Range, and you dropped it because you had shorts on in this. There's like 60,000 people there, dude, and this guy brings his phone in like basketball shorts, right?
Yep.
And so they're jumping up and down. I think it was like Beartooth, I believe. And
so good.
So much energy, dude. And so immediately
it looked
loses
like
his phone.
my phone got shot like 7 times.
It was outrageous.
Like the back screen was all beat up, but I had a screen protector on. When I took it off, it was still smooth.
Yeah. Thankfully, metalheads are apparently honest because I was like, dude, there's no way there's going to be a lost and found.
Went to the lost and found, and there it was.
We waited in lines for you, and and then somehow it was there. I was like, wow, okay.
And I used that phone for another 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was fine. It just had all the cracked glass on the back. So you slap a case on that thing, you're good.
It was outrageous.
Wow. So where is Rock on the Range again? Is that the one out in Colorado?
That one's in Columbus. And actually, it's not even Rock on the Range anymore. They changed their name a few years back to Sonic Temple.
Oh, is it Sonic Temple now?
And I don't think they're even doing that this year at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. We went to it religiously since like 2013. Almost every year. There's 1 year.
There's some really good rock bands and stuff.
Do what?
There's really good rock bands and stuff.
That yeah. They had a very nice mix. And we saw, I've seen We Came as Romans there, Motionless in White, Beartooth. We saw Metallica, System of a Down. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they're that year.
Yeah,
never liked them.
Yeah, I like a song or two. I went more because my buddy was a huge fan. And I was like sitting there, I'm like, man, this is like, I don't know. I'm hardcore about my shows. Like when I go to see a music show, I stay till the end, even if I don't like the band. I'm like, I'll give them a chance and we'll see. And they were about 3 songs in, and I was like, this is awful. Was like, yeah, you're lucky I'm friends with my buddy. I'm lucky. I'm all right. We'll just stay here for him. It's his favorite band. We'll be good. And then he like turned to me like 2 songs later, and he's like, let's leave. This is horrible. I was like, oh my God. It was almost like the lead singer was like there for a paycheck. You know, they just got back and he was sitting there like they were just standing in one spot, and he was like, la 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 la. Oh.
So what you're telling me is you don't want to go see System of a Down?
No, I won't go see him again. I don't think I would.
What if I put it together?
I wouldn't go see him. I'm not gonna. Are you paying for the ticket?
No.
Okay, then no. I wouldn't waste money on but we saw Slipknot. Man, there was so many bands.
I'm so irritated. I've had 2 chances to see them, and I haven't seen them.
Yeah, they were good. Five Finger Death.
Crazy. Oh, Five Fingers.
Oh, that was a show too.
Yeah, that was good. All That Remains.
Oh, yeah.
So many bands and just such a weird variety too. Like the first year we went, we saw Hollywood Undead, and then we went and saw who was after that? I can't remember. There was some kind of rock. It might have been Hailstorm, and then followed by Cheap Trick, which I was like, which is a wild, like veered in a different direction, and ended up being an amazing show. And then
we saw Steel Panther there too.
Steel Panther, yeah. There was a bunch of I have a ridiculous list of band names that I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of my therapy, I feel like a little bit. You know. We haven't been to a band since before COVID, or a concert before COVID, and that sucks. We
if I would have known what was happening, we had an opportunity to go see Skillet and Ledger and From Ashes to New, and I'm talking in a small 200 venue for $30.
Have you seen Skillet?
Have you seen Skillet? We saw Skillet at Winterfest.
Right.
With the pyrotechnics, it was
amazing. Hey, I've seen him 3 times, and I will never not turn down a chance to see Skillet.
Oh, and we saw, I was kind of sad. We saw Five Finger right before Ivan went into rehab this last time. Like a concert or two later was when he went in, and you could tell something was off when we were there. He was just, it was almost like he was out of breath and it was just off. And so it wasn't, I mean, they did a good job, but it wasn't, I forget who was before them, but whoever was before them like stole the show. And it was like,
wasn't Bad Wolves, was it, or Bad Wolf?
No, it was
I'm trying to think of tours that they've done recently.
Because it would have been 3 or 4 years ago. Because I took my wife, like I've turned her into a little bit of a metalhead, which was fun. But it was every time, and when we went and saw Day to Remember, they were really good. But whoever headlined before that did better. Oh, it was no. I can't remember who it was, but both times the band before the headliner, both those concerts from even we went and saw Shinedown and Godsmack, and Shinedown was the headliner, and Godsmack just, I tell you what, he put on a show. Dude.
Oh, dude,
it was epic.
The only thing I've heard about Godsmack, I guess the same, they do kind of a similar show with every show. It's kind of feels the same, but I've only seen him one time, so I can't confirm that. My buddy's like, yeah, it was the same show I saw like 8 years ago, and I was like, what? But it was solid. Nonetheless, it was phenomenal.
We actually turned. So we went with my dad. He likes Shinedown a lot. He's not into a lot of rock bands, but he really likes Shinedown. So we went to Shinedown, and he's like, dude, this Godsmack's awesome. And so afterwards, like Godsmack, especially their newest album, is like one of his go-tos now, is like Shinedown, Godsmack. It's thrown in there with like Zach Brown and Luke Combs. Like that's the kind of music my dad's listening to right now.
I'll listen to all 4 of those.
Yes. I tell you what, for country, like I don't mind country. I just kind of grew up on it, and especially living in Montana. So I'm just kind of like, meh. But I'll tell you what, Luke Combs, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I love
he's phenomenal.
We were just talking about him before we started the podcast. I'm like, Luke Combs is my dude. The Great Divide, that was an
awesome. You guys kind of look similar with the beards and
well, he betrayed me and he cut off his. So
he did.
Look at him. Look, it's small now.
No.
It was down here.
It was way down. Yeah, we had like, it was kind of a.
Oh, come on! Like
I'm sitting here with a wedding, man.
This is 30 years of scruff. Like, and I can't. I would literally, my left testicle, if I could get your genetics broken, like literally, I only need one of them. Just pretty good. I want a beard. I mean,
you got to sacrifice for the beard, man. You got to sacrifice for it.
Yes. And I'm about to have to start shaving and look like a 12-year-old because everybody's like, shave it, it'll grow back. And so, about to start that whole process. And
I will never shave again.
Yeah, ever. Every time I do, it's a hard regret immediately.
Razor blades are meant for my head, not my face.
I was like, I look like a chubby 13-year-old. Like, I'm like, how many chins do I have? Oh my god,
dude, that is my worst fear.
It is. I was like, I will never do this again. This is terrible.
That and the dimple in my chin.
Yeah, I'm not like really like worried about what I look like, but I do not like to see that I have double chins. I'm like, well, what is happening here? Comfortable, dude, and. Sometimes the beard can be a bad thing because a few weeks back, remember my situation I had with the, so I have really curly beard hair right here. So I use a straightener, right? Yeah. It's a beard straightener, one of those combs, like heated combs.
Yes.
And I still haven't actually looked into this, but I thought you were supposed to have either like right when you got out of the shower and your beard's wet, or like you have to have it oiled first.
Everything I saw said just damp. Or oil.
So I dried it lightly.
Okay.
So Dr. Chuck. Okay. So
hey, I didn't look like Rudolph over there. All right, calm down.
So right before Easter, I'm getting ready for a family get together, and I'm like, all right, I got 10 minutes to get over there, or 15 minutes to get over there, and it's a 10-minute drive. Okay, real quick. Got out of the shower, and then I put my beard straightener underneath, and the water sizzled the skin like it steamed from the shower and burned the skin off of my nose. So I was like, oh my God, that hurt. It hurt so bad. And then I like look in the mirror and I was like, okay, I'm good. There's a little bit of flap of skin there. I was like, that doesn't look bad at all. And then I went to wipe it and it just my skin just came off. So my entire nose is like raw and red. And yeah, I was like, this is horrible. So immediately when I walk in, my brother's wife's like, Rudolph? And I was like, and then I sat there and listened to the comments, So yeah, beard can be a bad thing.
And then as soon as I got over for the podcast,
yeah, you made a comment similar.
very similar,
like
the exact same thing.
That's the end of the podcast right there.
Yeah, luckily you couldn't see it in the camera very well.
Yeah, I was thankful for that. I was like, oh God, everyone's like, what happened to his nose? Yeah. But I was actually going to ask you what kind of music you grew up listening to in Montana. I was kind of curious, but country then?
Yeah. So grew up in Alaska, and when we were living up there, we listened to a lot of like 90s, 2000s, like worship, praise and worship kind of stuff. And then a little bit of country thrown in there and some old rock, classic rock. And then when we moved down to Colorado, did a little more country. And then I started listening to like Christian metal, Christian rock, and then just started listening to all rock. And now it's pretty much, it's pretty much metal, metalcore, rock, a little bit of country thrown in there. Yeah, very little bit, very little bit, very, very little bit. And then some other little
random stuff.
Yeah.
My genres bounce all over, but I grew up on, my dad was big into 80s hair metals. We're very anti-country because everybody listened to country around my area.
Beach Boys and Elvis.
Really?
And country.
Wow.
That's a wild thing.
I lived with my grandma for a while when I was growing up too. So
that's probably
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And then I think my dad he bought a Megadeth CD, and then I got hooked on Megadeth in my teenage years, and that led into all kinds of metal. And then but I'm the same way. I still listen to some rock, but not. I struggled to get into that a lot after I got into metalcore. I was just like,
yes,
the energy is just unmatched. Like when
I think before I met you, the heaviest thing I listened to was like Slipknot or stuff like that.
We've tortured you since you
got throwing me into my first mosh pit.
Oh yeah,
you can't keep me out of them.
We did definitely do that. We throwing crowd surfers on you
on my head.
You wanted the experience.
Awesome. I was like, I didn't drop anybody.
No.
Hey, that's good. I've seen quite a few people get dropped where they're just like jumping off the stage, and there's like 2 or 3 people, and they just like, it's a controlled fall to the ground. Yes. And I'm just like, and you can tell by the energy. It's like, don't go up there right now. This is not a high energy thing. And don't do it. And they just do it. And it's just like,
my favorite is when they like, this is my favorite part of the song, and then they get up and then they realize you're going across a sea of, especially at stadium shows, they're going across a sea of people, and then by the time they get to the middle part, the song ends, and they're like, this is bad. Like, this is not good.
My favorite's the people that are like 240 pounds that go crowd surfing.
Yeah,
I was those people.
I did that. I did that as well. I mean, you only feel experience once. So I was like, this is. And I was like, I kind of feel bad. And the person's like, screw him. That'll be all right. Yeah. And then people are punching me as I go over top. And I was like, this is a bad idea.
I've always been a bigger guy, and I never got to do that. So I did it.
That was during Corn. Yeah. During Corn, I was getting crowd surfed because it was actually so packed in this stadium area that you either had your arms down or your arms up, and I couldn't breathe. So I was like, okay. And it was kind of a press from the back. So they're kind of honestly kind of what that Travis Scott situation was. Obviously not as bad as that, but it was still horrible because you're forced to go 20 yards one way, and then you're going right back because the people that have been crammed in that corner are pushing back,
and then just colliding into everybody.
And so it's just a constant back and forth. I'm like, I can't even enjoy the show. I'm struggling to breathe. I was like, all right. So I'm telling people, get me out of here as I'm going by them. And finally I got enough people around me to lift me and crowd surf me out. And it was the weirdest experience. But one guy's like, yeah, you'll be fine. Just go. So he crowd surfed me because I was still kind of, hesitant. Like I was like, I'm like 250 pounds. I feel pretty bad. Right. And people were yelling at me as I'm going over top. They're not nice things at all. And somebody was trying to reach in my pockets and steal stuff out of my pockets. So I'm hitting some face that's reaching in my pocket as I'm getting crowd surfed. I'm like, there's nothing like being supported by the person that you're hitting, and they're trying to steal stuff out of your pocket at the same time. At first, I was like, okay, somebody accidentally slipped their hand. Wait, nope, they're grabbing my phone. Okay, all right. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, my favorite experience with it was I I forget who was playing, but it was at the Rock on the Range, and your brother goes up, and he's like 180 pounds, and then I go up, and they drop him, but kept me going, and they ended up dropping me a little bit later, but not a full drop. I landed on my feet,
Yeah,
and then ran into your brother.
Crowd surfing is dangerous. All I don't think I do it again. I don't care. Have you ever
no, I'm good.
Have you ever crowd surfed?
I have not yet. So with the glasses, when it comes to crowd surfing and mosh pits, I've always stayed away just because like I've lost one pair of glasses in the last, I don't know, I've had them for probably 20 years. And it was in the ocean. And luckily I had a backup pair, but it was like 3 years old. So I could really not see for like a week because we were on vacation.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I'm like, no. But I want to, and I'm looking into contacts. So because I wanted to start doing stuff where they're not practical anymore, especially with kids. Like
I think
kid just take it off your face.
Yeah, he's just like, we're wrestling and stuff, and like I'll be like biting on him, and he'll just and there's glasses, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I think it's definitely something that you should try for sure, but it's not for everybody.
No,
I think I don't know. It's
like swimming in the ocean. I did that once.
Yeah, it's weird because you have no control, obviously, zero control. So you're like, am I going to get thrown on my head? Am I going to make it to the?
Yes, that's why I was always kind of like,
yeah.
Like,
but I'd say do it before you're too old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my thing because it's
it is really fun though.
It is, yeah. Once you get to the end, you're like, I've never been so thankful for a man to scoop you up and pull you because a security guard to grab you.
Yeah.
You're like, well, thank you.
It's not a comfortable ride.
No. It's got lots of energy though. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What right now? What is your favorite song? If you could pick one song, which one would you go for? Like to suggest to people.
Quickly open up my Spotify and see what I've been rocking out to. One song. One song is so hard.
I know, dude. That's brutal. I was.
That's a really good one right now. That's a really good one.
He's gonna hit you with some Miley Cyrus right here.
No.
Baby
so I like Five Fingers, two new singles. They dropped it pretty good.
Okay.
But I've really been enjoying. Where is it on here? Where is it? I'm trying to figure out. That one's pretty good. Where is it at?
With Five Finger, I love their first 4 or 5 albums. I kind of got away from them in the more recent just because it kind of sounded similar. But I love their first 5 albums, I think.
Yeah, they're really good. And I don't know. I just like, and their new one's a little bit more metalcore. It's got a little bit more of that like techno-ish vibe to it.
Yeah.
So right now, Monster by Fight the Fade is probably my
Fight the Fade. Okay.
go-to. Yes, and they're a newer band that I just discovered on Spotify. If you like metalcore, go to New Core and follow it on Spotify.
I do. Yeah.
It's so good, so good. I found so many, but that's probably one of my favorites. And then probably Kiss the Wave by Wolves at the Gate. Their new album is awesome.
Yeah. I was just suggesting that to my brother the other day. I said, dude, this album's phenomenal.
I don't know this
it's
band.
Good.
Really?
Wolves
the Gate, bud.
No, I did not see them. No, I did not see them in concert. I'm trying to think.
I hate when that happens.
They're really good.
That happened with Amni Affliction. I was like, I've never seen them. They're on my list. And I was like, oh wait, I've seen them. Somebody else told them, they're like, dude, we saw them. They were at Warped Tour. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's right.
Dude, I want to see Visions again.
Visions of Atlantis?
Oh yeah.
Yes. You like symphonic metal?
I have
Nightwish, that kind of stuff.
Yes, some yes. I mean, it's not like my go-to, but I do. Yes, there are some.
Yeah, like every once in a while. I definitely suggest Visions of Atlantis. You should check them out. They're up that same alley as Nightwish, kind of phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Somebody just randomly we did a reaction to one of their songs.
Yep.
We did a reaction to one of their songs, and someone commented their live show is phenomenal. And then there's like coming to Michigan, so we ended up going to see them up there, and it was a wonderful show. Only downfall it was a work night. Yeah, so we didn't get to stay for Dragon Force.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's symphonic metal. That's okay. So yes, I love that. Yeah.
I'd say,
that kind of stuff.
yeah, Dragon Force is like symphonic metal with I don't know, power metal maybe mixed together.
Yes.
Kind of I don't know.
Because that what's that band you introduced me to? Archers.
Oh yeah, Unleash the Archers.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
Yep.
awesome.
Yes, Northwest
They
Passage.
are awesome. Yes, that's on
covers
my writing
phenomenal.
playlist. It's
I got him hooked on that as well.
Yeah, my brother. That's a song I got. Yep.
I feel like my brother, when I give him suggestions, he kind of rolls his eyes, and then next thing you know, because he works in a crane, so he's like basically has a cab to himself, right? And so I sent him the song, and then it was like snowing, and then he was like sending me Snapchats of like, he's like, I'm gonna go to the what is it, the Franklin Passage or whatever. He was just basically making references to the song, and I was like, wow, and he sucked.
Not gonna lie, when you send me a suggestion for something to listen to, I won't.
Yeah, no, so rude. Well, that's because you never know what you're gonna get genre wise.
No,
I'll just throw something random at you.
I don't know if I'm gonna understand anything being said in the song.
No, yeah, I'm so all over the place with genres. You know, when you're first getting to meet somebody, and you're like, what kind of music are you into? And they're like, oh, a little bit of everything. And most of the time, that's not true at all.
It's not true. No, it's one or two heavy genres with it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true over here.
Yeah, it is legitly true with me. I will listen to anything from reggae to hard, like heavy metal, like heavy, or metalcore, obviously. And just, I like the, I don't know. When people are like, oh, I'm digging this genre, and I can give you suggestions. I don't know why I was the guy that people came to when they wanted to burn CDs. And that was my claim to fame, because I'm like, I need friends because I'm homeschooled.
Hey, what happened when that went away?
You see who I'm stuck with? You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, you lost your choice in friends. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Well, we should probably wrap this up. Josh, do you have anything you would like to add about your Kickstarter or anything else?
So I guess just a little, I'll just promo my Kickstarter a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll pull this bad boy up because I can't touch it enough. That sounds okay.
Dude,
for those listening, it's my book.
Phenomenal.
Just so you know, I'm not just, and I'll let you see what it sounds like. It sounds really nice.
Oh yeah.
ASMR.
Yes, that's so funny tangent. Okay, so it took me, and I'm still not happy with my intro video to Kickstarter. It took me 3 days.
Oh, dude.
3 takes. I still had to do a bunch of jump cuts. And the first, I should have stayed with my hype when I was like testing it and fake doing it, and just like I was holding a mic at some point, and it was super awkward and funny. If anybody, the one thing, even if you don't care about books and you want to watch something hilarious, go to my Kickstarter, scroll down to the bottom. I have my blooper video. It is hilarious. But there was one time when I did that on the mic where I did that shh, and then I'm like just going crazy about like ASMR, and I just got full on weird. And I'm like, I want to put this in a blooper. And my wife watched it. She's like, Josh, nobody needs to see that. That is just a whole nother level of weirdness. And so I can't put it in there because
there are people out there that are like, oh, book ASMR. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah. So maybe I need to start doing it. I mean, who knows? But
people, they start talking about tingles. But I don't get the ASMR thing, but people are like, oh, I feel chills.
The only thing I've seen like 2 random videos about it, and then Critical Role, Dungeons and Dragons, they do. They have one funny about Twitch, subscribe to their Twitch channel, and it's Sam Riegel doing a funny ASMR thing, and it is like awkwardly hilarious. Like,
yes,
it's funny, but like their humor a lot of times is just like it makes you feel awkward for them.
Absolutely.
I love it. So anyway, back reel it into the Kickstarter.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, which I love tangents, but I know we want to keep it not to 2 hours long.
We did that once.
Yeah, we did.
I was just on one, and we've tried to keep it to an hour. We went an hour and a half, and they're still like, hey, we do it every once in a while. So I'm like, okay.
That's the way to do it.
Yes, it's so much fun.
You're having fun, right? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And these are the best when you're just hanging out and chatting. And those tend to go longer because you don't have like a set schedule of like, oh, we're doing this at 5. And me and Ryan had to get in a little bit more because we got off on like tangents.
I could watch you guys do tangents all day though. It was awesome. For real.
It was so much fun. It was like, and we have a couple people that still want us like, hey, you gonna do the podcast again? And we're like, Ryan started a new job. He is nonstop busy now. And I'm sitting here like, I would love to, but no, maybe in the future. But anyway, Kickstarter.
Kickstarter.
Wrangling that tangent about a tangent. Pretty much, I guess, just for anybody who is unfamiliar, this is my zombie series that we were kind of talking about. I started it 5 years ago, finished it 3 years ago. This is the complete anniversary edition. Like I said, it has all 5 books, 3 short stories. It already has a full hand-drawn map that's going to show the whole journey. And it's awesome. It's the culmination of, more than 5 years of work, because I started it like probably a decade of work, and finally being able to release it in a hardback in an anniversary edition with this cool extra content this is something I wanted to do since I started writing this series 5 years ago. Publishing the series 5 years ago, started writing it 10 years ago. And so it's just been a lot of fun. And we are currently at just over 7,000. We're about to unlock custom PVC patches of this really cool zombie hunter logo of the backer's choice. And then we're going to start unlocking more maps for it, internal art. And it's been a lot of fun for me. And it's been a lot of fun to see the support. And I think anybody who's a fan of not even just zombies, but like brotherhood, family, or just likes to get in and on board on like being on the ground level of like creating something, like that's why I love Kickstarter. That's why I backed way too many. Is I'm just like, I'm never going to read this book, but this is awesome and I want to back it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Out of curiosity, what stuff do you have in the swag bag?
Okay, so I have 2 swag tiers. Well, technically 3.
Yeah.
2 main ones. The lower one is a bookmark, a sticker, and a like postcard size mini map that is easy to use like as a bookmark or something like that. And then let's see, in the second one, I have all that stuff included, and a big, you can't see it, a big 11 by 17 inch poster of the cover art with no words and stuff. Because when Jay Caleb does the art, he doesn't like a lot of artists do, like this is the main thing, and then they move off to the back cover. Jay Caleb puts the main subject, Jake, I guess is his name, puts the subject in the middle so you can have a full wallpaper. That's what I have as my wallpaper right now. So the second tier is the poster, and then a bigger version of the map that actually will fold. So it's a quad fold that will like fold out into a full map. You can either hang up or you can like fold it down into like a cool map to stick with the book.
Which tier is that?
That is the $100 one.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I'm getting that one because I want that poster art. That sounds awesome.
It is. I was gonna do like a smaller one because it's easier to ship, and then I printed it out on a piece of paper, and I'm like, this is lame. I need to get the big one. So then I printed out the big one. It was like half on one page, half on the other. And I'm like, okay, this is it. And then the last swag thing, other than, there's going to be where you can, I'm inviting people to co-author a story with me, like literally co-author their name, my name, publish on Amazon, which that's a higher tier because I realized how much work and money's into it. Like the normal, like they can put their character in one of my stories. That's a higher one. But then the last like really reward one is going to be, this is a horn mug, but it's going to be a horn cup. Whoops. Because it doesn't have the handle, and it's going to be engraved with one of my Brothers Creed logos of their choice. And that's the $200 tier. So it's going to be a 10-ounce authentic horn mug. I found a guy who engraves. They look awesome. And it's going to be one of the Brothers Creed inspired logos. And that one I asked my super readers, like, hey, what is one thing that you want to see reward? And they're like, I want an engraved horn mug. And I'm like, okay, we'll do it. And it's a little pricey, but that's why that tier is a little bigger. But I've already had 2, 3, 4 or 5 people get either that or above so they could get that. And
that's it's super unique, cool. Like rewards.
Yes. Awesome. And it's going to be a pain in the butt to ship. I guess it's not. I found some boxes that are going to be big enough. It just adds a little more extra because this sucker alone is just over 3 pounds. And so but
are you doing add-ons at all out of curiosity?
Yes. So one of the add-ons actually for those watching is one of these Zombie Hunter shirts.
Ooh, awesome.
That is dope.
And this is a logo that my logo designer guy did. So it's like, you can't get anywhere else. Another one is going to be a little flip lighter. I just thought this was like cool.
That is sweet.
I don't smoke or anything. I guess I have a cigar every once in a while, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just fun.
I'm the same. I have a cigar every once in a while. And that's about it.
Yeah. And then,
No comment.
do you have a cigar a lot or no cigars?
Me?
No.
Cigar a lot.
He's like
he's like a
5
obviously
packs a day.
I vape in here, so
He's a 5 pack a day kind of guy.
Gotcha.
No.
I'm not that
Fake news.
Wow.
No,
yeah.
He's a smoker.
It's a bad habit.
But
anybody watching, don't do it. It's terrible for you.
In this case, though, you could get a cool lighter.
I mean, that lighter's sweet though.
You could.
Yeah. Like you said, no, I don't even smoke really. I mean, I still, as a collector, that's a sweet little trinket, dude.
That's what I was trying to find, was things that not everybody has. So of course the bookmarks, posters, maps, like that's kind of normal. But I'm like, okay, mugs, lighter, that kind of thing would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, you can use lighter for anything. You start your bonfire or whatever you're doing with it. So yeah, that's solid, man.
I miss playing with fire. That is all.
There's a reason he's bald.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm putting all kinds of false narratives out.
Hurt my head.
People are like, "What happened to him? What did he do?" Very cool, though. Yeah, I'm excited to see how far things go, man. I think you're at the best spot because you get to start working on those stretch goals and have fun. Do you have them all like pretty much pre-planned, or have you had to come up with stuff as you've gone?
I've had them pre-planned so far. So the first two I set relatively low because I really wanted to hit them, and they were just like, so we literally hit them in the first 2 hours because they weren't much over. And then after that, it's like, okay, these are things like, because at the end of the day, like there's a lot of time that went into this. So I mean, I've got to be able to have a little bit of a profit. Honestly, there's not gonna be much profit, but it's gonna be more like covering a little bit of my time and some of the extra costs that went into it. So I have the next 3 planned, unless I get a bunch of backers asking for something else, then I can adjust. So it's going to be a map that corresponds to each book in the big series. So there's 5 books in there. So 5 more maps that kind of just focus on that leg of the journey, because that's just awesome. And there's going to be like locations. I mean, of course it's a map, but like locations that they hit, and maybe with a little bit of art. And then the next one is going to be black and white interior illustrations, which I'm really excited for. And then, which I guess I kind of hid these, so people don't actually know this, but they do now. And then there's going to be something else. Well, I mean, hey, if you listen, you guys get a little behind the scenes. And the third one's going to be a massive audio commentary, because I've had a lot of people that like, I mean, I like to talk about it. A lot of people, or at least some people, like to hear me talk about it. So it will be a literal, like, chapter by chapter audio commentary of all 5 books into short stories. That's going to be like literally 5 to 10 hours long. Then I'm going to, of course, break up and do it to where they can easily just at their leisure, and also do it on a platform where they can multiply the speed at which they listen. Cause I got to listen to almost everything at 1.5, because just the way my mind works. And it's like, I want to get through this and I can retain it. And so anyway, so those are going to be, I got those 3 stretch goals planned, and I got ideas after that.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
I feel that.
Yeah. I do have a question that I was going to ask earlier, and I got sidetracked by a tangent. Surprise.
What's new?
Yep. And I was curious, as someone running a business, I know I struggled with this a lot, but I just found this out, and I was like, wow, this actually makes way more sense. Do you struggle to undersell what you're doing, like because of excitement?
Undersell?
For example, they said you should undersell, not oversell or overpromise. And for example, me announcing like 2015 that we're working on novels.
So yes, I definitely do that. Like, it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm like, oh yeah, within, like, stay tuned, within a year, I'm going to have another book. And then it's 3 years later, and my newsletter list is like, where the hell is that book? And I'm like, it's in progress.
Yeah. I was listening to, I think it was one of the greater courses on Audible. I think, or it was some business book. It was an audiobook
courses.
Yeah. It was an audiobook on like business. And they're like, you should always undersell and not overpromise. Yep. And so that way you can surprise people, and people aren't like relying, like, oh man, when's this happening? And I was like, man, this would have been nice to know, 7 years ago before I oversold everything.
You mean like
books? We got books, guys. It's coming. It's going to be big.
We're going to put this novel out there. It'll be out in 2 years, 7 years later.
Dude, I got super sad because I ran into a thing that we wrote down in 2015 about yearly the amount of novels we were going to drop. And it was like a novel a year, right? And I was like, wow, we didn't do one of those yet.
Like, that's got to be painful to see.
Well, I think too, when you're going into it, even as someone that was writing, you're kind of like, well, I feel like you see all these people, like you see Stephen King pump out like 2 books a year or something, right? Or even Brandon Sanderson. Yeah, dude's nuts. And I'm like, okay, so you think that's like how it works. And then you get into the industry and you're like, even for Crossroads, when we first did that, and I was like, okay, I had mine done for the most part, but mine, I was very slow with it. And then the people you're hired, you're like, hey guys, we need to, get this together so we can make the product and ship it. And you're like, well, this takes way longer than I expected. Weird. That was a part of the learning curve too. So yeah, it was, but the excitement, I just get so excited about like the ideas, and it's
exactly. Exactly. I want to tell everybody, like,
and at the same time, I was me and you, and we're like raised to be, I don't want to say like it to be honest, but so in a way you're like, okay, so if I'm completely transparent, with what I'm doing here, that's, and then you're kind of, you oversell by doing that.
Yep. Every time.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Should we wrap this up?
We should rock this Midwestern goodbye all day long.
Hold on. Well, all right, let's go for another 15 minutes, guys.
That's like me trying to say goodbye every time.
Have you ran into a lot of that out in Michigan? Like people saying "ope"?
Did I say "a"? I got an A in the Yoopers A.
Hey, really?
Yep,
okay,
like
that's Canadian. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Very much so.
It was hilarious. I ran into a meme about like 3-4 years ago, and I didn't realize I did this my entire life. And there was like, when Midwesterners just randomly said "ope," O-P-E, and I was like, what the hell is "ope"? I don't get this, right?
The first time I saw that, I'm like, there's no way. And then I started realizing
that's what I said. I was like,
so
I'm like, I have never heard one person say "ope," right? And then I looked in the comments and someone's like, yeah, when you're let me slide right by. And I was like, oh my God, I say that daily. I never even noticed it. And I'm like, and I'm a stereotype. Wonderful.
You're just one of the numbers.
Yeah, just one of the numbers.
And it's not going to stop.
Chuckles.
Yes.
Do you want to send us out, bud?
I can do that.
All right. Send us home.
And that's it for episode 20 of the Unadulterated Amateurs Podcast. I've been Chuck Beeson. He's been Joel Norton. And that's been our special guest, Joshua C. Chad. Thanks for coming on with us today.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome.